And if the dogs start barking, you might just have to sort them out. Just let them, I don't know, open the door maybe. They should be all right, I think. They'll settle down.
Well, they might bark at the door, which you might not be able to hear.
Yeah.
They'll be all right.
People
it's only been once where it got really out of hand, wasn't it?
Yeah. They went a bit mental.
Well, I was hoping for some...
Are you going for product placement?
No. To hold it.
It looks really, really obvious.
No, I know, yeah.
That was the idea, wasn't it?
You are?
Do they do fridges like Red Bull?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't
yeah.
I've got a gin bottle in the kitchen.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant, do they do fridges like the milkshake? They're nice as well. I would like some Spa sponsorship. I reckon that'd be a good one to get.
Yeah, you'd be well in.
Yeah, I just got another voucher this morning, I tell you. £25 shop, £5 off voucher.
Well, they're not going to give you sponsorship. They make too much money out of you.
Yeah, true.
I'll give you a 5-minute warning then. So I'll give you 5 at 20 past.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet. All right. And then if it gets to like almost 1/2 just dance around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just start with what we've been up to.
Is this normal?
Yeah, no, it's not normal.
It's only because Gary's introducing us this time, so let's do it different.
We're going to try something new today because I've realised that I haven't introduced a podcast yet, so I'm going to take it on myself. We're joined by a true legend of fell running, someone highly respected, a Yorkshire great, represented their own country, someone that everybody loves. Welcome, Kirsty.
Hey.
Oh, and Ben. I know you all thought I was talking about Ben, but he's here every week. But yeah, we've got Kirsty Hall on the show today. And now Ben will take over and do it a bit more professionally.
I thought it was really good, Gary. Yeah,
well, we've got
to say the welcome to the RUNcensored Podcast, haven't we? First of all,
yeah. Because I still don't forget the name.
Yeah, well, I did wonder if you'd forgotten it as well. That's why I thought I'd just get that in there. But no, this is going to be a nice episode because it's probably the first time me and Kirsty have sat and actually had a conversation that's not involved the dogs, work, shopping, running,
Housework.
Isn't it? Well, it's going to involve running, obviously. But yeah, so we're probably going to converse more than we usually do, aren't we?
Yes.
Which is quite nice.
Are you a podcast veteran, Kirsty?
No, not really. Yours is the first one I've actually subscribed to, and there you go. No pressure.
You like it though?
I do enjoy it. Yeah, every Tuesday.
What's been your favourite episode so far?
So, favourite one was the injury one because I was, surprised by how injured you are, and it was fascinating and how you dealt with that. And then the cow one last week, obviously, that was quite funny.
Yeah, it's gone down well, the cow one, hasn't it? Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people have asked me like whether that story was made up, but you can clarify that, can't you?
Because basically, you heard Ben say it was essentially your fault and your doing. You sent him back up the hill to...
I did, and the reason I sent him back because I had the dogs with me and the other cows were chasing the dogs, so I had to get out there and I said, you can't leave the cow, Ben, it's really not fair. But the other funny thing is that Ben is like OCD clean, like hates getting his fingers dirty, and the fact that he came back running down the hill with his hand like in the air, like apart from being tragic with the cow, it was the funniest thing ever.
Did you spend an evening in the shower just scrubbing and crying?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I did.
I got back and I must have washed so many times, didn't I? And she was just laughing, ringing people up like, oh, you'll never guess what's happened. I'm like, I'm devastated. going through some sort of trauma, and she's just like FaceTiming people and telling him like...
It genuinely was the funniest thing I've ever
I'm holding you accountable for that. See what I did there? That was a marketing brain working there. But no, you sent me back up and said, do what you need to do. Is that what you expected me to do?
Well, we genuinely thought it was giving birth, didn't we? So we just said, we can't leave it. So you need to just get in there, Ben, and deliver this calf, which obviously was non-existent. But anyway, you give it your best shot.
I just did what anybody else would do. Isn't that right, Chris? In that situation with a cow. You'd have done the same, wouldn't you, mate?
I think we said on the previous podcast, I definitely wouldn't have done
But yeah, you liked the orienteering episode as well, didn't you?
I did enjoy it.
And we went orienteering last night as well.
We did. We had a very good night. We joined the Orienteers in Leeds last night, and very low-key event, very friendly, very funny on Ben's part. So we got given 2 maps. We could choose either a north or a south map. So I chose a south and Ben chose the north. So we all set off running and Ben ran with us on the south map. completely the wrong direction. So I was laughing because I thought, well, he's obviously
I just thought I'll ride on the back of like the front runners for a bit, get a good start, get the first checkpoint, then realise that I wasn't even on the bloody map.
No.
You left that part out because when he said there was a north and south to choose, and I just ran with one group, thinking you didn't say that you two had split up.
Oh yeah, we didn't run together.
No, we didn't run together. No,
you didn't run together.
I can't keep up with him. He just runs and then looks at the map later, and I'm like, I like to be organised, and so we split up. But he went in completely the wrong direction, and then was late back as well. So all the points that he'd accumulated got written off.
I was lost for a bit, genuinely, and I was doing really well as well. I'd managed to pull it back a little bit to a respectable level, and then it all just went to shit at the end, like it normally does.
Is this an individual event, or were you with teams, or
you can run in groups? It's really low key, so you can decide whether you want to run on your own or with a partner. Or we were a group of girls. They ran in a 3, so it's you can choose.
When you say it's low key, we turn up at a designated place and people just come in the cars, and then when it's about time, we just flash each other. That's how it normally works in orienteering. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, is that we're going back to Dogging Story again now. It was like that, though, honestly. Yeah.
We'll get on to how you met.
Yeah, that's how we met. I thought it was an orienteering event, honest. That's what I said to her. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
But no, it's. I thought it would be useful having you on, Kirsty, on this episode, because you've been running a long time, like longer than I have, and I tell people how long I've been running, and people are always like gobsmacked because it's just about 30 years. But how long has it been now?
38 years. So I started, I was 14 when I started. I was a gymnast before that, and then wanted to keep doing the sport. And I joined the British Open Fell Runners Association racing scene and started when I was 14. So I've been doing it ever since.
So that's BOFRA, isn't it? So if people have heard of BOFRA, it's British Open Fell Running Association. Yes. What sort of events are at BOFRA, just to position it for people?
So BOFRA they're races that typically are less than 2 miles in distance. They're up about 1,000 feet of climbing in that time. Typically in the Yorkshire Dales, hills in the Yorkshire Dales, it's an out and back in the lakes, and some in Scotland as well, where they're called hill races. But BOFRA, short and sharp, you're in the red from the off, and it's out and out, eyeballs out from the moment you set off to the moment you finish. It's really, I say low key, it's really, really friendly. They have races from the under 9s, and it's a really family orientated event. Under 9s, under 12s, under 14s, under 17s, and then you've got your seniors. And it's just a really, really friendly group of races. And I've loved it. I've done them for many, many, many years, and I absolutely love them. Hard. They're seriously hard in terms of effort.
That first that first time you raced at that kind of age, did you finish the race thinking, I love this? Or did it were you scared to go back or anything like that? Because I'm just thinking of my own daughter. She's younger, but she's done 1, and then we didn't kind of go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was last. I was definitely last by a long, long way. But by then, at that point, there was only like 3 girls that regularly turned out. There weren't that many girls that did it. And I was last at the beginning of the season, but I just kept at it. And by the end of the season, I was winning the races. So it was just keeping up with it. But it wasn't about. It really wasn't about the winning either. I really enjoyed meeting up with the friends, and we just became a really close-knit group of friends who I am still best friends with now. We've been friends all that time. So I think I enjoy the camaraderie as well as the racing. That seems like an aside, really.
Yeah.
There is really a community element to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think fell running just generally.
I think in general the timings help, don't they? Because they'll have a couple of different nights through, like fell running nights maybe, and then you race. By us anyway, it's typically like a Saturday afternoon. I'm assuming it's the same for you lot. Like Saturday afternoon is quite a nice time to race, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get done whatever you need to do in the morning, short, sharp race, and then have a couple of drinks if you want afterwards. You've still got Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's just that itself sets up for much better kind of community, I think.
Yeah, it does actually, because it allows that social side of things, doesn't it? And when you compare it to, say, ultra running, which is like right at the forefront of trail running now, isn't it? That distance, it's almost like the longer now is the more popular, isn't it? People are just going for the distance. But we're talking about races like Kilnsea's just down the road, and that is a classic BOFRA style fell race. It's not part of the actual series, but it's like an add-on to the series, isn't it?
Typical fell race.
Typical fell race. It's from a showground. It's part of a bigger event, but that is the pinnacle and the highlight of the show, isn't it? I mean, we'll probably talk about this on a future episode because we're going to get Ted Mason on, who's on the committee, absolute BOFRA legend as well. But that race is 0.8 miles long, and it is the hardest race you will ever do. Like the pain cave on that is off the scale, innit? Yeah. And in a totally different way to doing something like a 100 miler, for example. Like it's completely different type of event, and one is equally as hard as the other in many respects, isn't it? But
some of the hardest ones I've done are because, like you say, there's one 2.4 miles or something, which quite long listening to that, but yeah, it's literally, like you say, straight up, round and down kind of thing, and it's just, there's no hiding place, is there?
No.
That's the thing.
It's all out, isn't it? I mean, how do you approach that, Kirst? Like when you're doing a race like that, what's the mentality? You've just got to go all out, haven't you?
Yeah, you do get quite nervous because you are going out of your comfort zone, and you know it's going to hurt. That's the thing. You're like, this is going to be so painful
from the start,
and nothing works. Your breathing, your coordination, everything sort of seems to just seize up because you're in so much oxygen debt straight away. But the feeling you get when you finish is immense. It's great. And you play to your strengths as well with fell running. So it might be that you're not great at going up, but you're an absolute demon descender. So you can play to that and think, well, I'll just tuck in on the up because I know that I can do it. Or vice versa. I need to really push on the climb because I'm not great at coming down. And yeah, you can just play to your strengths on a fell race as well, which is really
What's your strength?
Climbing.
Absolutely
climbing, yeah. When I was younger, I was good at coming down, but now I think I lost my confidence a long while ago. So yeah, climbing, I enjoy it. I'm good at it and I enjoy it. So
yeah.
And how have you managed to, I know you've had a big injury, but how have you managed to stay so fit? And this is pre me and you knowing each other as well, like so fit and so motivated for like best part of 40 years. Like
I obviously mix it up with training with friends, which really does help. There are some friends that motivate me because they're committed, like Lou Osborne from Keswick, who is a phenomenal runner even now, and she's older than me, I'll say. Vic Wilkinson, they're really good friends, but they're really motivated and they're good, and it makes me think, well, I can still do this at that age and just keep going. Yeah, so I look to other people for inspiration.
I mean, they are household names out there. Victoria Wilkinson, Lou, who was Sharp. She's also been Lou Roberts, Lou Osborne, back now on a maiden name. They've been around for a long time. But if you asked most trail runners, and I'm, just talking generally, they probably wouldn't have heard of those names, would they? Which I find a bit sad because they've been at the forefront of the sport for a long time. Whereas if you asked them who Jasmine Paris is, they'd know. And I think that all of the attention now is kind of on ultra running. And does the short distance stuff get the kudos and respect it deserves? Because we're talking two ends of the spectrum, but it is essentially all off-road running, isn't it? I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Both of you, really.
I don't.
My point of view, because obviously I work in the space and I see different types of runners coming to me versus 10 years ago, is like you say, it's ultra running and trail running, there's massive growth in it. I think it would be a shame. I don't know. I mean, Kirsty will know better. It would be a shame if those kind of runners never at least dipped their toe or tried a fell race. Yeah, so if I do a fell race, I usually would have to travel, especially if it's one of the bigger ones like a classic in lakes and stuff. But there's loads of different kinds of fell races that you can try locally. And I just think that a little bit like cross country was for me when I was young, when I was getting into it. I still came into it in my 20s, but cross country was so far out of my comfort zone and I wasn't competitive as I was like on a local level in trail running and stuff. You get your ass handed to you in these cross countries and you either kind of lean into that and enjoy it or you kind of stay away, I think. But ultimately, like you say, fell racing, the beauty of it for me is you can go, even if you're treating it as like a hard session, and whether you're finishing towards the back or at the front, it's competitive because there's age groups, there's people around you at your ability, and you can be competitive with it, but still not kind of be put off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's definitely all inclusive, and it's a real leveler, I think. Like, there's no shame in being beaten by an 80-year-old. There's some really good fell runners out there, and I think as well it's inclusive. Fell running is inclusive. I think financially as well. You can tip up to races sometimes free, but you generally don't pay more than £5 to enter a fell race. So it does make it more inclusive to the wider population, which maybe trail running is probably a little bit different. But I think from a social media perspective and the kudos, I think maybe the trail running has that. People in fell running maybe don't have that visibility or use social media in a way to promote the sport in a way that trail runners and the ultra runners do as well. So that's sort of maybe why it seems to be growing in popularity.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's a fair point.
In that
I mean, fell running essentially has not changed ever since I've really been in it, to be honest. It's kept that tradition, which I love, and I won't ever want it to change. But, I mean, you're talking about almost a 40-year career. Has anything changed during that time? I mean, when you first started, it was like...
Well, back in the day when we used to run in clogs and...
One thing, and I'm just going to get onto this, is that the people who were listening to this, very few people understand this. There was an amateur versus professionalism kind of thing going on when you first came on the scene,
when
wasn't
I first started,
talk to us about that.
So I can't give you because I was quite young, 14 at the time, but because we were running in what was classed as a professional league, we used to win money like £3, £5 in a race. It was classed as a professional sport, and they had different rules. So we were banned basically from running in amateur races, where you would win vouchers or not financially rewarded. So for most of my career in my teenage years, I was not allowed to run in an amateur race, and if I was found to be running, I would have been disqualified from that. That thankfully changed, and it's completely different now. And
so anyone can win the fiver now.
yeah. I try not to promote anyone's got good prize money. I tell not to tell people about because it's like good prize money. But
we've had some pretty big prizes, haven't we?
Yeah, we've
one of my questions for Kirsty, I said before, was going to be, what's the weirdest or best prize you've seen or received at a fell race? Because that's one of the things that struck me at first. I'd come from trail running and road running to a certain degree, but yeah, the prize was literally like you could choose a bottle of wine or a box of biscuits or something like this. Has there been any standout strange ones?
There was one. I won a bet. Well, it was a race. It was sponsored by Silent Night, and somebody won a bed, and that was a good one. But usually chocolates. But I think you actually, Ben, have won. You've had a strange one. Was it toilet rolls?
I won some random ones. Well, that's because Kev Shandu used to organise Blackstone Edge, real character, legend as well. He used to just basically, I think he just do like a house clearance, it felt like, anyway. And when you'd win that race or you'd do well in that race and you go up to collect a prize, you could pick from a table, which sounds amazing, but some of the prizes, honestly,
really random.
were dubious. Yeah, so I think I picked up like a big pack of toilet rolls. So I thought, that's quite a practical prize. Like, you need that, don't you, at a fell race? So, I mean, that's off to Kevin. He always organised a good race, but that was always a talking point. I've had some shockers over the years as well in terms of prizes. Like, I remember doing Race the Train, which is actually down your way, Gary, near McKinley. No, it's not near McKinley. It's help me out here. Where is it? Abu Dhabi. Near Abu Dhabi.
I always forget because I've never had a chance to run. It's still a couple of hours further down Towin. Yeah.
Towin, yeah. So it runs along the line, and basically at various points you kind of next to the train, or you can hear the train, and it's an out and back. And it's a really good race. If 1,000 people enter, for example, it's organised by the Rotary Club. Let's say 50 people actually beat the train, so it's quite competitive. Like you've got to be a really good runner to beat it. But I remember one year I won something like a chainsaw or something, and I was like, do you know what? I won't bother. I'm all right, actually. I think I'd finished third or fourth, so I just let them keep it. But the next year I did it again, and I won the same prize. Just put it back in, obviously. I think I'd finished again third or fourth. I found that quite funny. But yeah, we've had some random ones. What about you, Gary? You must have had some random prizes.
Less so. I've seen it's quite. With the fell running, it is usually, especially around by us, it's a bottle of wine or something like that. So I guess it's more random. I've seen some random ones abroad as well with some of these small mountain races. I know we're sticking to fell running, but yeah, I like the fact, a bit like you're saying, community-wise, you can finish the race and then go to the pub, and the guy who's won it is sat next to you versus the guy who's come last, and you're
nice.
just having a drink or whatever, and you're talking about the lines that you chose or whatever it is. That's usually the case. People are just talking about which way did you go with something, and which way did I mess up, and I don't do it as much anymore, and I wish I could. It kind of, I'll be honest, once I had kids and they grew up a little bit, it's like getting there on a Saturday was proving a bit more difficult. But that's the one. Sometimes I'm jealous of the people that live in the areas that it's dominated by fell running, like the lakes, like up here and stuff. Because in North Wales it is fell racing, but it's not the same scene, I would say.
Yeah, I think that probably the nucleus of that, the BOFRA Championship, is around here, isn't it?
Around here and in the lakes as well. I think you could go to a race and you'd know everybody by the first name, and and a good thing as well about it as well, you might know them by their first name, but nobody. It's very we've talked about this, maybe non-elitist, so it doesn't matter what career you've got. Nobody knows what anybody does for a living either. No. It's just like
nobody cares either.
Nobody cares. It's like, God, he's a good runner, like he's really, it's such a good community. And you can turn up to one in the lakes and it's like you've not seen long lost friends. Oh, how are you doing? And it's like friendly rivalry. Like you can have a chat saying, I'm going to get you today, I'm going to beat you today, and you have that good friendly rivalry, and it's good, and I enjoy.
Do you grow relationships with people where you really want to beat them, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because I imagine, because I spent a couple of years trying to do a bit of triathlon, and I felt really quickly that because I would see the same people in the same kind of standard at the same races, and I would loosely know them, but they would be my target.
Your nemesis almost.
Yeah, exactly, because you're seeing them week in, week out, whether that be at like the running at the Borders League, which is short road races, or even the fell races at the weekend, and then at the triathlon, kind of, you would just you're not obsessed, but there'd be certain people I'd want to beat, put it that way.
You take great pleasure in beating
for no real reason. It's like I didn't know them that much.
That's almost a measure of your performance, though, isn't it, as well, as opposed to just the time or the position. You want to beat that person, and if you beat them, you've had a good run.
There's quite a few women that I coach that still do fell racing, actually, as sessions and stuff, and they would happily say they're probably middle of the pack, but they've got their own battles and stuff, and that's what I love about it. They've got other women they want to beat every weekend, and it's just friendly rivalry.
And with the men as well, I know there's a lot of push now to have the women only races, but I quite like competing against the men and having that same rivalry against the men as well. It's not women v men, it's just that person that you've tagged yourself against and think, right, I'm going to get you this week, and you're not getting me on the downhill again this week, Steve, I'm going to have
Get to know what everyone's arse looks like, because you're just following the same arse every weekend.
Oh my goodness, or the back of somebody's socks, you like in his socks.
That's what I will say. I've seen some sights at fell races in warm-ups and in car parks and toilets and stuff.
Full pants down and getting changed.
And the smelly ones that you always seem to just can't get away from. You're like, I'm either going to have to drop back, or you have to put an effort in to get ahead.
Just going back to what's changed, and I know we were talking about the amateur and professionalism thing. Will you ever stop doing any particular races?
I mean, some of the races in Scotland didn't allow girls to run for quite a long time, actually. But thankfully, Scotland have caught up and maybe overtaken. Like now, they're much more inclusive. But when I first started, there were quite a few races where girls were just not allowed to run. And it's funny because at the time, it was just a given. So you didn't really question it. It was like, we're not allowed to run that one. But recently, in terms of prizes, though, that's taken a long time to catch up in terms of parity of prize giving. Even we talk about Kiltsy down the road, but as an example, Kiltsy show, and I get that the men are faster and there's more men competing, but the prize money was, I think it was £100 for first, 80, and then 50. For the women, it was 10, 8 and 5.
Wow, yeah.
Till very recently, actually, until somebody else took over the management of that. But it was that's just to show you that there hasn't been parity in prize giving in the women's races for a long, long time, until very recently. And again, it was a given. It just...
You just accepted
it. Because sometimes it's easy to look back and think, why wasn't it changed and stuff? But like you say, even when you're in it, I imagine... You don't know anything different.
No.
It takes people to challenge it, and
BOFRA have been always pretty good. I would say that they've also as well increased the age group as well. So there's a lot more as you get older as well. You're still competitive, but you physically can't compete at the level that you were, and it's rewarded as well in the age group categories as well. So, and that's improving as well, as because there's a lot more people running now in the 60s and 70s in fell running who are good. really, really good, and they deserve to get the recognition because they put the effort in training and competing. So, so I think in terms of prizes, that's taken a long. That's definitely been a big difference and taken a lot longer to change.
And one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on talking about that is because people will just be listening to this, most people, and thinking, wow, I never realised that was even a thing. Like, it's moved on a lot, hasn't it?
Yes.
Like the sport. And I know we're still open to change, and there's room to change, and there's all sorts of other issues now within fell running and around inclusivity and getting different types of people involved from all different backgrounds. But there were the problems back in the day, weren't there? But the issues that we were faced, and it's just about levelling the playing field all across now, isn't it?
And I think fell running is definitely a good way into the sport in terms of if you want to progress to the longer trail running. It's a cheaper way in, but it's a more inclusive way in as well. If you're just a little bit nervous about tackling that it seems like a bit daunting, the ultra running scene. Maybe just try a shorter way in to get there if that's where you want to go. But
I think a lot of ultra runners take the easy option. That's what it is. I'll just go for a long walk.
I think
and eat a pork pie. That's what I always used to say.
I
don't want to be in oxygen debt for the first 15 minutes of my run.
It's a different level of pain, isn't it?
I feel like it's a very, like fell running and ultra running, they're like complete, for me.
Oh, they're opposite ends of the spectrum.
It's like comparing apples and pears. It's a different discipline. It's like comparing 100 metres with a marathon runner. There's just your skills are different in many ways. In fell running, it really is about physical pain and how much you can push yourself in that short time.
Like if you were naturally good at running up a hill, you kind of lean into it more, don't you? There's a reason why I'm not running 100 metres in final of the Olympics. Said that on another one. If I could, I probably would have been doing that because as I found I was good at sprinting, then I'd lean into that. So I think when people were almost maybe put off by the fell running because they assume they're not going to be good at running uphill or downhill, but it's not always about that, is it? No. If you can get a good hike on, or you can maybe, if you work on your downhill more, then you become a downhill demon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it, like you say, it's in this, I think, the safer space of just being out for 2 miles or 3 miles and then you're all back together again.
Yeah.
It's not, I've got 4 hours on a lonely trail today to go and do, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I think another good thing about the shorter fell races is that once you've done a race, you're not laid up for days as well. It's quite a quick recovery time. So even though you might race on a Saturday, not within the 10 minutes after you've finished, when everybody's just like corpses all over the floor because everybody's just like gasping like goldfish everywhere. But no, you can recover quicker, I would say, than some of these longer ones where the toll on your body is a lot longer, isn't it? On an
you can
ultra.
Race more over the season, can't you?
You can race every weekend, twice a week, and like you were saying, substitute your speed session for a race. Like, it's a good way to do. I often do that. And
there are a lot of races on the calendar, and if people are sort of listening to this and thinking, I might go and do one, like BOFRA, it's got its own website with the series on. I think there's 16 races usually during the season, and you need to do, is it 8 of those races to be part of the series? You can just dip in and dip out, can't you?
I mean, you can choose not to. Anybody can race them, but if you want to be included in like the championship, you have to do 8 of the 16.
Yeah, but
to be included.
The fixture list is on their website, BOFRA, and then also the Fell Running Association, the FRA, they've got a website as well, the fellrunner.org, I think, .uk, off the top of my head. They've got all the fixtures on there as well, and those races are all across the UK. So Scotland, England, Wales, loads in North Wales. Like I
still get the
Northern Ireland,
the Welsh programme through for the year. I haven't raced for a couple of years, but I've kept the membership to. Because I quite like it landing through the doorstep, and you're going, even though I kind of know when the races are going to be in North Wales, especially, but it's something quite nice about it.
Yeah, there is.
Landing
that
on
physical fixture list.
It's
great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of the benefits of like
it'll give you all the fixtures, and it'll say, and it'll give you the details, and it'll just say £3 or whatever. So it's, I think, it's what, 20-30 quid maybe membership to that
to join. Yeah.
But I get a lot of people ask, do I need to be a member of a club to run fell races? And you don't have to be a member of the club as a bottom line, do you? No. You might end up running as a member of a club, but you don't have to, do you?
No.
So I wouldn't be put off by that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember as well, not too long ago, where you could enter postally with a check. You'd send a check, and that was the only reason I used to have a checkbook. And I really liked just sending all the checks off and just like writing checks. Yeah. Now it's just not a thing, is it? Like,
I think the Ben Nevis was until quite recently.
Yeah, I was going to say there was still a few, isn't there?
Quite recently, like was a check.
I mean, I once spoke to, and this is again going to mountain running, but I spoke to Martin Cox about when he first started running in Europe. And he said the process was mental. Like he used to have, I think there was like almost like a book of all the races or some kind of like publication, and you used to have to go through it, and then you'd have to phone somebody up, or you'd have to send some like again a check off somewhere. And he said it was really hard to enter, but now I mean,
the first ultramarathons I did was like that. I did London to Brighton, and you were literally in a weird forum on the internet with a bunch of old weird men, and then you just got an application form, big stamped address envelope, send your entry off, and then they sent you the envelope back with the road booking and stuff, and you were in. Yeah, and you just turned up to a field somewhere and just hoped that everyone was there, because there was no... and even because I'm old enough to... Facebook was probably just about kicking off, but yeah, that was... it's strange when you think about it, and it obviously moves quickly. Yeah. So fell running even slower, I think.
It's only recently, isn't it? It's only the last couple of years that the checks have.
But one thing about the beauty of it as well is obviously calendars change slightly, but they're all kind of the same times of year, aren't they? Especially like, if you're just going back to the same ones, you kind of get to know the calendar, and now you could just, for a lot of them, I know SI entries go through a lot, but it used to be you just turn up and chuck a couple of quid in, and they'd give you your number, and you just have to remember to take some pins. That was it.
That was it.
No water, no nothing.
No, nothing. No.
I just remember like what in the first car I had, you just driving around, and in the thing in the middle was just pins everywhere, because they were the only things I forgot.
You'd always have them, wouldn't you? You'd keep it like an emergency pile.
I'm quite the opposite. I must have gone. I never can find pins, and every time I go to race, hit the pins. And I think, where are they?
That's a joke in my family, because in once I moved to trail and ultra more, I just never had pins, because it was weird, because some races they'd send you an envelope and there'd be some pins in the bottom, but I've turned up at the start of big races with no pins. Like,
really?
Out in Annecy was one, day one of Dragon's Back, 20 minutes before the start, I've got no pins. At 5 a.m. in Conway, how am I going to get? It's you go to the minute detail with kit and everything, and I just forget pins every single time.
Do you know, I was the same, and I am the most disorganised person you'll ever meet, but I have always got 4 pins on my race pack now, and every time I finish a race I just put them back on there. I know, it is a good tip, but honestly, like
Ben's got pins, and then
so I've got pins.
Whilst we're giving Gary advice, don't you set off 15 minutes earlier than you need to be every time you need to go somewhere as well?
That's right, actually. I try to.
I just assume that people have given me a time knowing I'm going to be late.
We factored it in, haven't we?
Are you always late as well?
I have to admit, I know it's not a good trait to have, but I am quite often late.
Depends on the flight pathways and times for the private jet, though, doesn't it, as well for you? Like,
takeoffs and... There's no excuse really. I'll try and make an excuse, but there's no excuse, because I'm just not organised, or I'll blame kids and stuff like this. But ultimately, everyone else can get there on time, and I seem to be ready until the last minute, and then. It just goes to pot.
I am really bad as well, so I can't take the piss too much. I'm pretty bad at it.
A lot of it is with me. I can't seem to put the key in the same place. I'm always looking for keys, or I'm always looking for a pair of shoes or gloves or hat or something.
Oh Jesus, you two in the house together, crikey! You and keys, Kirsty.
No,
Oh my God.
Charlotte goes mad because she's constantly having to take this. She keeps a spare key in a certain place, which I don't know about most of the time, because I just there's keys in pockets. Like, I'm asking her, what did I wear yesterday then when I drove it? I don't know.
That's the same conversation.
Thing is, it's okay if I lose the keys, but if you lose the keys, it's...
I'm devastated. Yeah, because I've given her so much grief for losing the keys, which is most of the time. But then when I do, I'm just kicking myself like, oh God, I've really shot myself in the foot here. But half the time when Kirsty's like, when the key's missing, it's in the bloody car. It's still in there. It's been in there for like overnight.
I used to do that when I didn't have a nicer car. When I got a nicer family car, I was like, I can't. But I used to. It's bad, isn't it? But the car would be unlocked with the key in it wherever I went.
It happens often, doesn't it?
I lost my keys on a run last week.
Actually,
it fell out of my pocket.
When we were at the running show, the national running show, can you imagine how busy I was? Because we've done the episode on the running show. So you phoned me, didn't you? And it was like the busiest time of the day. But go on, explain.
Minute bit of signal to say that I've lost my keys on this running route in the middle of nowhere with very little signal. But I knew they'd be there because I'd run in this circle. Anyway, this little 4-mile run ended up being a 12-mile run because I had to do this loop.
Doing laps. And I phoned you after the end of the last lap. I thought, I'm going to have to phone. I've got a signal. I phoned. I said, Ben, I've lost the keys. And he's like, well, I can't do anything. I'm in Birmingham.
I just had like 5 pairs of metal shoes in my hand.
So literally, I put my phone back in my bag. I looked down and the keys were there. So they must have been exactly where I'd thought I'd lost them in the first place. So I've done all these laps for no reason when they were there in the first place. I don't know, but that is the most stressful run I've ever been on.
Yeah, I've lost them before on a run. It's not good. Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
I did it. I was wrecking day 1 of the Dragon's Back, which and what I'd done is run out of Conway and you go up towards Snowdonia, but it was only probably 2 hours out of Conway. So only 2 hours, but then the weather had changed. Yeah. So I was in my bag getting kit and stuff, and I know what I've done. I've put the key in my bag, but just messing with layers and things, it must have gone. Yeah. And it's only when I got back to the car I realised, and I got no. So I was basically, I did do a little bit of a jog up, but I knew in my head that's gone, kind of thing, and I just couldn't get back in the car and I had to get towed and all sorts.
No.
Geez.
But when I was freezing, cold, wet, and
were you tempted to just smash the window? And, I
just had no key.
That's true. You couldn't even put the engine on, could you? Yeah.
Not James Bond. I can't just. I wanted to, away from keys. What I wanted to know is, because you've competed at the highest level, we'll say, of fell running for such a long time. How did it feel moving through categories and kind of competing against new waves of people? Have you always managed to stay motivated and enjoy it, or was there a time when you thought you didn't enjoy it as much because of that?
I think for me a pivotal change in my running career really was when I had a skiing accident and I had a really bad knee injury, and because I've never been injured, apart from the ankle sprain, which is a given in fell running, but I've never really been injured. And like you, it was an absolute, I had to have an operation, I couldn't run. And so I found the recovery from that like a challenge, working with a physio and doing different disciplines, like going to the gym, doing the bike. And I actually came back my first race and I was so much better than I was previously. And I thought, gosh, this is amazing. And I was 40, it was like my early 40s at that point, running the best I've ever run in my life, and that gave me then this new impetus then to just actually it's not game over at all. And so from there now I'm struggling, I'm just getting older and the effort in versus results out is not great, but so that for me was a real change in my in my running career. Before then I think I've just always enjoyed the running, I think, and I've enjoyed the people and I'm meeting up with people. It's more like a social thing for me, really, and as well. I just enjoy it. So I don't see it as like something that is a grind and that I have to do. Sometimes, like now, I get my sessions and I think, oh gosh, it's Tuesday, it's session day, and there's a bit of a build up to that. But I think for me, the motivation is the social side of it, definitely, for fell running. But then once I saw some results coming in my 40s, that's given me the impetus to actually put a bit more effort in and have a go. But
have you kept the strength training part in?
Yes, I would say we do go to the gym. We do try, especially in winter. In summer it's hard because you can think of a million things to do outside and the rate runs you want to do. But in winter we do try, don't we, and go to the gym.
Try. I think as well, you're probably not doing as much of that now because you can do more running now. So when you couldn't do the running, you were doing more the strength work.
Yeah.
And that is when you were running at your best, definitely, wasn't it? And I think that was probably off the back of all that strength work you did.
I believe that, and not actually just churning out mile after mile. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So by doing something different, it changed.
And your body does change. I've noticed that you forget that what I could do when I was mid-20s in terms of training, is different. So, and I never did any strength training really. I worked in gyms when I was in mid-20s, but the only strength training I did was like demonstration and stuff. I realised I wasn't really training properly. And like you say, you when you can run a lot, I was basically running a lot, and I didn't pick up injuries because I was in the hills and stuff. And I always think it's good speaking to other runners that you do see your body change, and even the way you run changes slightly, and your gait might change a bit. But like you say, it's good. I just like listening to stories that they pushed on, and it's not about pace or running fast and all the time. It's just that they pushed on in like a motivational way. Like yourself and like Ben and stuff. It's sometimes you accept I might not be able to do my kilometre reps at the same pace or something. But I might be able to hike up a hill stronger. Or something like that.
It is. I think the older you get, and it is sometimes disappointing when you can't. You really put the effort into training, and just it's due to age, you just can't get the results you wanted, and it is a hard pill to swallow sometimes. And you're thinking, I used to be able to do this in so many minutes, and but. That's you've got to accept that you are getting older as well, and
I sometimes have to remind you that when you've gone and done a race, say a BOFRA for example, and you've not won it, and somebody in early 20s has won it, and you're comparing yourself to them, I have to remind you that you are like
I know,
almost twice their age, or sometimes more than twice their age. And
I know, but I'm still competitive in my head.
So in your head, is what I'm saying.
In my head, I'm still young and competitive.
That's a good thing now, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So some of the fell runners that I met when I was in my mid-20s, that are probably my age that I am now, like I learnt so much from them just by being around them and talking to them a lot of the time, and it's. Hopefully, I'm one of those people now that just by talking and sharing stories, you do learn a lot from those people. And there'll probably be people now that I'm 40 and I look up to people in their 50s and stuff that are still doing it and still out there, and they've adapted. But it's stories that build the experience, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Have we got time for? Because I want to know what we.
Okay.
Well, I've got other questions we might ask another time, but I did want to know what is, and Ben can jump in, what is your favourite race on the calendar, or favourite races? For
me, my favourite race ever is the Ben Nevis. And not for the descent either, just for the sheer climb. It's an amazing race. It's quite emotional. When you start the race, there's the pipers leading you out of the field, and it just feels so iconic, and I feel privileged to have raced it, if I'm honest with you. It's a super race. The Alva Hill race in Scotland, brutal.
It's part of the BOFRA series as well.
Series. Everybody should give that a go. It's brutally brutal.
And just sorry to jump in, but that particular race, when you're watching it as a spectator, it's amazing because.
Which one's this?
So this is Alva Games, and it's a bit like Kilnty in the sense that the race starts and finishes in the show field, but you can see the whole race unfold from the show field, and you look up to this like unbelievable climb. It's a really impressive peak.
You see the line of runners,
and you can see the line of runners going up, and you can almost watch it all the way down.
There's nothing more impressive in running that I used to think of when you see that line of runners blasting up a hill, and you're not involved in the race, but you can see it.
It's amazing.
I see it now
to actually watch it unfold. But with that, you're not just in a show field and you don't see the start and then the finish. You see all of the race. There's a couple of minutes where you might not see them before they get to the bottom of the hill, but essentially you can watch it all. And from a spectator point of view, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And going back to the prizes as well, a few years ago we both went and ran it. I didn't win. I think I was second. You were first. But there was a prize, a cash prize to the top, first to top, which we both won. You won and got the record.
Yeah.
And I was second. And we came away with about 650 quid cash as well.
Which was this from?
The little country show.
Country shows. And you get cash in an envelope. I mean, that for me is a hit.
That's a lot of toilet roll, that.
There's a lot of toilet roll, I reckon that's the biggest collective win we've had, isn't it? I think we went on holiday with that, didn't we?
I think we did, actually.
Great,
yeah.
Just cash ready. So that's another reason to
Ben
BOFRA.
Did you done Snowdon?
No,
in the past?
not raced it, no. I've run it a few times, but not raced it.
Because I used to like the feel of that. When I was first getting into it, that was kind of our big show event, I guess. And just, I'd be off the top runners, obviously, but I wasn't so far off that I'd feel the power of them coming back down and things like this. And when I was starting out, it was people like Andy Jones and stuff like this, and he's such a talented marathon runner, and then you see him blast.
Yeah.
It's just the way you can move up a hill like that.
I mean, that's my favourite of the big three races. In terms of, like, if you think of Scafell Pike, you think of Ben Nevis, and you think of Snowdon, because obviously they're the big three in England, Scotland, Wales. You love the Ben. I love Snowdon for probably the same reasons as Gary. I like the fact that it's runnable, but you also get, like, the road runners competing against the fell runners. I that for me is brilliant, but I love the Ben as well.
Obviously, they have the Italians over, and it's just an eclectic mix. Yeah,
I think it's the closest thing to a mountain race in, like, a European mountain race in the UK, definitely.
Yeah,
for me.
Gary, 3 minutes to do your last 3 questions.
Right. Okay. I did write a couple of down that I wanted to ask Kirsty. We've covered some of them. I want to know a fact about Ben that not many other people will know about. If you've got one.
We've probably touched on this, that you're obsessed with being clean.
Clean free.
Ultra clean.
It's true,
to the point of obsessive compulsive.
Yeah, I'm like 2 or 3 showers a day out kind of guy, yeah.
Or if you touch it, like...
Is he the same in the house, as in he has to do the cleaning up and stuff? Because that's quite handy. Or is it just keeping himself
it's just
clean?
Keeping his... No, you know, Ben, it's himself. Every man for himself,
Because sometimes I see... this is coming from a male point of view, by the way. I'm sure females will have the opposite. But, you know, when I see people on TV and they're obsessive with the cleaning everywhere and things like
David
that.
Beckham.
Yeah, not that me and Charlotte both share the cleaning and things, but, you know, like if you had someone in your house that was just obsessed with keeping everywhere clean, I'd be like, that'd be quite handy meeting someone like that. But not if it's just your own body.
Yeah, you've got the bad end of the stick, don't you?
No, it's generally his body, like it's nothing to do with the house. So it's like...
Perfect running day from start to finish.
So it would be going away in the van, camper van, with the dogs and Ben, obviously.
Thanks for getting it there.
Yeah. Just any... I quite like finding different routes, so I'll spend a long time on OS Maps just finding little trig points that we've never been to, or little routes we've never been to before, don't know, and we'll go and have a day out. And
you'll push me to do new things, which I like, because I'm boring as
I love exploring. I love finding new little routes, and so for me it'd be finding a little beautiful little fell run up onto a trig somewhere, and then definitely a cafe or fish and chips after.
I'm going to change my last question, and I forgot one last question. I want to know, what is your favourite kind of cafe order after a race?
Oh, gosh.
And we'll get Ben's as well.
Ooh, cake. Well, cake. Any kind of cake.
Cake. Yeah. Any cake?
Yeah, just... We had a really nice one in Scotland, didn't we? Loch Ness. We went up...
yeah, we did. That was good.
This guy...
Quite a unique
actually,
place.
because Ben doesn't like fruitcake, and I was like, right, well, I'll order fruitcake, because I'll get to eat it
You have
myself.
all, yeah.
And it was the best fruitcake ever, up on the mountain. It was a really random cafe. That was the best. It still meant...
Do
Yeah,
you
it
like
was really good.
Barrabrief? You must have had Barrabrief then.
Where did we have that?
In Wales.
In Wales, North
yes.
Wales, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been going and running around Pateley Bridge quite a lot recently. You've been doing the Nidderdale Way, and you did the last leg of it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we've been going to this cafe in Pateley, and it's really nice, isn't it? I'm going to give that a plug. What's it called? The Granary.
The Granary Tea Room. It's a really old-fashioned, but it's proper...
Oh, I'll tell you what,
grub.
Portions there.
Right, Granary Tea
Unreal.
Room if you want to send us some cakes and
Brilliant.
other delicacies.
They look after the dogs as well, don't they?
the
Yeah, we'll
dogs,
get that one in there.
dogs love it as well.
But the portions are massive, and it's like home cooked food, triple cooked chips, steak pie I had there, didn't I?
Yeah.
When I go and get
You're
something
taking me over to the spa for a discounted sandwich.
They're definitely yellow sticky. So.
I'm going to take you to Pateley Bridge this one, because we can also do the orienteering course in Pateley as well.
Yeah,
so
okay.
when we've got more time one day, we'll do that, and we'll go to the Granary afterwards.
Guys, I just need to jump in. Okay, there's someone at the door for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Right, cheers, Kirsty.
Thank
We'll get you on
you.
another episode soon, I think, because there's more to pick at this. But that's given us a nice intro to BOFRA, to fell running, and we'll touch upon a few more bits after.
If anybody's got any questions on fell running, just contact these guys on the podcast, and I'll happily help answer anything.
We'll let you slip out of the shot while we give the podcast a plug as well.
Thank you, Kirsty.
Cheers, Kirsty.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good, mate, wasn't it? Yeah, we should probably also tell people to like and subscribe at this point, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I think we should. We did have a bit of a mishap recently where it looked like we had, was it 2 feeds of our podcast? This is on Apple specifically, so we are reaching out for you. If you did a review or you rated us, we may have lost your review or rating, so this is just a call to arms, really. If you are enjoying the podcast, it means a lot to me and Ben and Chris and everyone involved if you could do a written rating, do a review if you can. But ultimately just share it around and get the word out there.
And I think as a little incentive to do that, we have got a couple of prizes. I've no idea where I've put them. I think they're over there, actually, Chris. If you could bring them into the shop for me, please. Thank you. So we've got courtesy of...
in case people are wondering, we have given out the last prize...
which was the Killian Jornet hat and socks signed as well. So Norman, you won that. He's one of our big subscribers, one of our regular listeners. So that's on its way to him in the post. I did forget about the competition, and I remembered.
With the first competition, we just chose someone who interacted with us. So I'm sure everyone will agree that wasn't a bad way of doing it, rather than the old style, picking a name out of a hat. He's been really interactive with us. So if you want to get involved, you might get to win one of these.
So
what is that, Innovate?
Innovate hat, and we've actually got some limited edition Innovate coasters. Now that's probably sounds like a shit prize, but it's not. These coasters are amazing for camper vans, amazing for around the house. There's 7 of them in total. They're all multicoloured. They're like rubber coasters, so they stick really good to surfaces. But you can't buy these in shops. So
Ben, if you show them to the camera over Gary's shoulder.
Yeah, I'll show them over there. Look, so they're provided by one of our regular watchers. He always watches YouTube. He doesn't like listening because he's got a really short attention span. That is Adrian Hope of Innovate. So providing the prizes there. And we're going to throw in an extra prize.
What we might do is this prize might grow a little bit in the next week or two. So are
we going to mention that extra prize that we might give away?
Not yet.
Not yet. Right, we'll save that. Yeah, the prize might grow. We'll leave it at that. So you've got to be in it to win it. Like and subscribe.
Be a grower, not a shower.
Adrian, thanks for supplying the prizes. Now supply some comments, mate. Don't just watch. We want to know what you think. Write some nice comments for us, please. And that goes out to everybody on the podcast. So thanks for your support as always, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Boom.
Spot on. Bosh.
I like the way you promoted Innovate after spending about 30 minutes talking about Merrill.
I got him in there. Adrian would fucking kill me if I didn't.
And I think Kirsty made a video call with about 15 seconds to go.
So. Yeah, just.
I know. I suddenly looked at I looked at the time and I was like, oh no. Kirsty's going to have to shoot, and we hadn't really covered half the stuff I wanted to.